interesting, isn't it? How we as human beings write about difficulty and adversity when we're writing about the best we ever did.
So in other words, on Monday morning when you come into your office, the first thing you do, before you get to your email, before you get to all your tasks, you sit down and you ask yourself 9 questions, the answers to which are going to create a path for you to follow of the little things that you can do to engage and motivate your staff.
The part that I remember about the Olympics is the crash and how it was the turning point. And it should be a nightmare, but it was the blessing in disguise. And a lot of it has to do with the adversity that we faced that forced us to come together, the way we treated it. And yeah, we had 4 great runs. We ended up winning a medal. You know, that was our sort of our Olympic experience. We won a medal, not the way we thought, but it's even more special.
One of the things that's really important to us is that we find ways that collectively we can make a huge difference in the world around us.
I'm a psychologist, and you're wondering, why did they bring the shrink here today? Well, the reason is, a bunch of you work with some really crazy people, and I know a lot of you have come with those people today, so I want you to turn to the person you came with and just say, hey, that guy's a shrink. You really need to hear this, okay? First boundary a leader brings to bring simplicity is a boundary of bringing necessary endings. Necessary endings. And what a necessary ending basically is, it's when the leader realizes that the worst thing that he or she can have is hope in this situation. You know, if you take a wrong turn, you're down a wrong road, the worst thing you can do is hope that road is going to turn into the right one.
I said, well, let's talk about that respect thing a little bit more. We're going to play against the best teams in the world, against the best countries. You know, we should respect them in how we prepare. So I would like, as a standard, we never have a bad practice. Okay, they all agreed to it, and we did that with each of our teams. And in the 7 years I've been the head coach for the United States team, we have never had a guy late, and we have never had a bad practice. Because it was theirs.
The theme of the LeaderCast is simply leading in a complex world. What does that mean to you?
Well, leading in a complex world, more than anything, means recognizing the simple things that you can do to make the circumstances better. Right. If you walk into complexity and you're sort of put off by it and everything seems to be swirling around you, I always said, what's the one thing that I can do in this situation, in this environment, to begin to change the direction of this conversation, of this negotiation, of this conflict that I'm trying to resolve. And I think very often when you're in complexity, you only see complexity. The key in complexity is to see simplicity.
Leadership is a service. It is not a product. It is a service. And the question all leaders therefore need to ask themselves doesn't start with themselves, but really starts with their clients and customers.
Is when we are focused on a task and we are focused on an outcome, what happens for us is we get very focused, and sometimes it's to the exclusion of things that are going on around us. That's the first thing. The second thing that I think is pivotal here is this. When we communicate around perceptions, I think it's important to recognize the fact that we don't see things as they are. We don't. We see things as we see them.
That's what I want to teach you this morning, is how to hack your organization. You use it, you do your job, but you use it as a stepping stone to build your practice. And that's where you get the fire in your belly. The 24-year-old who is so tired, who's saying, I can't stand this office right now. It's driving me crazy. And they find their practice, and they just come alive. I've seen a 55-year-old guy ready 2 years from retirement. Took another 5 years because he found his practice. The fire came back.
That's what it's really about. It's leading that change. We need to ensure that our managers and our leaders are comfortable with the change. They understand why we're doing the change. They understand how the change needs to happen. They can answer questions around the change.
Phrase that I learned early in the piece, which is
a leader's job, a real leader's job, is to create more leaders.
Absolutely.
Right? And that seems to be a bit of a theme that I'm hearing, that it's not about you being a heroic leader, it's about how many leaders you create around you.
A lot of leaders that I've observed over time have difficulty sometimes hiring people that know more than they do and the expertise. And you shouldn't be afraid of that, because what it really does is, as Mike said, it fills in the gaps basically where your knowledge is, and it gives the organization a much richer resource, if you will. And
to me, the biggest thing so far is that you just can't do it by yourself. And it really takes the collective efforts of a team of people to accomplish something great. And if you're the kind of person who feels that you can do things great on your own, or that there's no one better to do it but you, get the job done right, do it yourself, that will probably get you a good result. But to elevate that to a great result, you need the collective, the mind power, the manpower of a team of people working together towards a common goal.
Not to look at problems as problems. For me, they're somewhere to find a solution, and those were great.
That's really interesting, like that notion, they teach us about appreciative inquiry, that instead of focusing on the problems, focus on what's going well,
yeah,
and build that up rather than
Absolutely.
always getting into the weeds. That's really good advice.
My greatest learning experience in my career was learning how to be a salesman. I think everyone's a salesman. I don't care whether you're a doctor, a dentist, it doesn't hurt, does it? Whatever you do, you're marketing yourself, your skills, your abilities. You're a consultant. You're marketing your ability to solve problems for people. Lawyers solve problems. They have to market themselves. So I think when I realized that I had some abilities to sell goods to others, solve other people's problems, frankly, by buying what I had to sell, it's a wonderful key to the future.